Klaus was thankful for the din of the plane's motors as they flew over the shining Adriatic. It meant he didn't have to talk to anyone. The plane would take them to Venice, where they were to board a train for Berlin. As soon as they were on the train, he and his colleagues would have their own compartment, where they could talk about art and academics. Until then, they had to endure the hovering presence of the Nazis. On the return trip from Greece, there was another officer who had joined the group. He was a tall man with a boyish face, who, at the same time, wore an expression of someone who had seen a great deal, someone who could not be shocked by anything. He had dark, deep-set eyes, slicked-back black hair, and a long upper lip. He frighteningly reminded Klaus of Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels. The man caught Klaus looking at him and smiled, a smile that unnerved Klaus, causing him to quickly turn his attention back out the window to the silvery Adriatic. In Venice, a boat came out to the plane to retrieve its passengers. The young, dark-eyed officer made it a point to take the seat on the boat next to Klaus. As he did, Klaus's colleagues watched cautiously. "I am Hauptmann Hellmann," the man introduced himself. "I work for the Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg. We are very interested in learning about your findings from your trip to Greece. I hope that you have all done a thorough job." The Einsatzstab Reichsleiter Rosenberg, or ERR, was Nazi Germany's de facto ministry for the looting of precious art. For well over a year it had been officially sanctioned to take art, antiques, and other items of cultural interest from museums, churches, and private homes in all the occupied territories. Even within Germany, the Nazis had confiscated thousands of works of modern art, what they called degenerate art, claiming that viewing such works perverted the mind. Klaus assured Hellmann that everything had been very well catalogued. Very good, very good. Even Reichsmarshal Goering is interested in your report. He has a keen interest in art." The young officer smiled again. Klaus had indeed heard of Goering's interest in art. It was more of a mad obsession, really. He was known especially for pillaging wealthy homes in foreign cities and taking works for his own collection. Once ashore, Klaus and his colleagues were taken to a small military building near the port. Even though they had been accompanied by German officers on their trip, each member of Klaus's team was to be questioned privately about the team's movements since they left Germany. Klaus was told to go first. He was taken into a small room where he was seated at a table across from Hellmann. Klaus studied Hellmann's unusual face again, childlike, yet almost sinister. It was a disconcerting combination. He was certain he was being singled out for some reason. "This is just a minor formality. We need to check everyone as they leave and enter Germany." "I thought we were in Italy," Klaus said, trying for a modest joke. Hellmann smiled. "Everything is Germany, my friend, or will be soon enough. We have an interest in a few particular pieces we think may have been at the monasteries you visited. We will, of course, go through all of your photos and lists, but we were thinking we could perhaps save time if you or one of your colleagues could identify these pieces." He handed Klaus several pencil sketches. "We're looking for famous works that we think may be in one of the Athos monasteries. Rublev, El Greco, those sorts of things." "So you can have them for the Führer's collection?" asked Klaus as he took the papers. Hellmann ignored the question. Klaus looked at the drawings. He recognized the first two pieces but hadn't seen them. When he got to the third, he was stunned. It was the icon of the lady. Suddenly, there was some commotion outside the room. The door opened, and a German guard quickly came in. A tall man in an Italian colonel's uniform rushed in behind him. At this, Klaus stood up. The guard went behind the table. "What is this? He was just there. Where is he?" said the guard, with a look of astonishment. The tall Italian looked around the room. Klaus turned and saw that Hellmann was gone. He had vanished. There was no back door. He had just vanished. The Italian told the soldier to leave the room. The soldier protested. "I saw him. I saw him for a moment and now he's gone. How did he vanish? What is this? What is this magic?" The Italian noticed the drawing of the lady on the table. He repeated the order for the soldier to leave. Once the soldier was gone, the Italian turned to Klaus and smiled. Klaus was struck that he, like Hellman, had a child's face, only he had no trace of guile. His eyes were a pure green. His copper-colored curls poked out from under the rim of his hat, framing a face of absolute strength and certainty. His face was also strangely familiar. The Italian waited a moment and then spoke. "There is no Hauptmann Hellman, Klaus. The man you have been speaking to is an impostor." "What is this?" demanded Klaus. "Who was that man? How did he just disappear?" "He wasn't a man at all." The Italian picked up the drawing of the lady and held it up. "Do you know what this is?" "It is a very powerful icon," Klaus said. "Yes," said the Italian approvingly. "And you have it in your possession. I know this because I watched the monks give it to you." "What is this?" Klaus asked again. "You weren't with us in Greece. Who are you?" "My name is Cassiel." At this, Cassiel removed his hat. Upon doing so, his hair began to grow. His curls grew over his ears and down around his neck. His face took on a supernatural glow. His green eyes became very large as he stared down at Klaus. Klaus noticed the room becoming warmer. The walls became lighter, as if reflecting the light from a fire. Yet there was no fire. The light was coming from the being standing before him.